Dub Nation, we are here to recap the Warriors 114 to 106 win against the Timberwolves. We got a lot of really cool storylines in this game, but honestly, more than anything, the Warriors got a W. We're back on track, and this is two straight. Because we had a 5 or 6 game slide, so we didn't really know what the team was looking like. Now we're back on track, 2 games straight. The vibe is back, the team feels good, and it feels like the young guys that we have, we're going to be able to keep throughout the trade deadline, right? Like, there's not a lot of huge stars that are on the block at this point in time. So, some of the young guys, like literally every single game, they're going out there and playing for job security because there are names like Brandon Ingram, Zach Levine, um, Laurie Markkinen, guys like that. But it's like, do we want to commit to guys like that? Is that going to put us over the hump? Is that going to get us a championship? Or should we just stick with our young core, right? And so today was like one of those games where the young core just showed, hey, we're good. We can fill in positions. We're going to be able to play defense. We're going to be able to knock down shots when you call on us, right? But more than anything, Chef Curry was back in action. Steph finished with 30 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, and a steal, right? And so that's vintage Chef Curry. He's back. The Warriors are back, and this was a huge win. So there were a few topics that I did want to touch. So the first is that the Warriors had lost 5 straight to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So this win is a little bit bigger than that when you think about the playoff atmosphere and just like the dynamic between the two teams. The Warriors don't want to go into the playoffs against the Timberwolves knowing that we can't beat them or we haven't beat them, right? And so like getting this win is huge. The Warriors feel a little bit more confident. And then when we see them down the road in the playoffs, we're not going to be scared of them. So that's huge. We got that. I would say the monkey off our back, but we got the Timberwolf off of our back right now. Second is that we had Jonathan Kuminga in the starting lineup. Love to see that. Like Jonathan Kuminga is going to have to start for us, get 36, 37 minutes every game for the rest of the year. He's like truly becoming an emerging superstar. If I remember correctly, he was drafted top 10 for the Warriors, right? So he's supposed to be a guy like that, and he's really coming on his own. Down the end of the game, you saw him ISOing Rudy Gobert, getting buckets at will. You saw him blocking shots from Anthony Edwards. You saw him going up and grabbing huge rebounds. And like he's fast, he's 6'9", like he's all the potential in the world, right? So like another guy that the Warriors are going to be better off long term if we can keep Kuminga and develop him. And tonight he balled out. So Kuminga had 20 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks in 36 minutes. That's awesome. He was balling. Kevon Looney, your flowers, sir. We have got to give Kevon Looney his flowers. I mean, there was a point in the game in the third quarter Kevin Looney was dominating the entire game. He was dominating on the boards, and he was scoring every basket. I don't know who the Timberwolves had guarding on him. I don't recall right now, but he wasn't even seeing him. I think it was Naz Reid. Rudy was sitting down. Kevon Looney balled out of control. Looney finished with 12 points on 9 boards. Why does anybody know why Trace Jackson Davis didn't play at all? Are we phasing him out of the lineup? Is that part of Kuminga starting? Is Trace Jackson getting phased out of the lineup? Can anybody let me know, chat? I hope that we can find a way to keep TJD. Like, TJD's awesome. He's a good player. But worst case scenario, if we do phase him out of the lineup, he's going to be a great trade asset because he's really been balling. If we pair him with some picks, we might be able to get something decent. We could pair like Trace Jackson Davis, Brandon Podziemski, and I don't want to say Wiggs, but like even like Wiggs, Trace Jackson Davis, and a few picks for like Brandon Ingram, that would be great. But is Brandon Ingram really that much better than Andrew Wiggins? Brandon Ingram's not going to play defense if he comes here. So that's the downside of that trade. It's that you're getting more scoring, but Wiggins is good. Like when Wiggins gets the ball, he gets an opportunity to score. Wiggs is great. We just need Buddy to keep being Buddy, and then everything can stay the same. I really do believe that the Warriors can contend for a championship this year. Now, here's what I will say. If the Warriors roster is good enough to compete, they are not great. But if the Warriors do win it all this year, there must be a conversation about Steph Curry being the greatest player to ever play the game. If Stephen Curry wins this year with no Kevin Durant, no Clay, it's like you cannot say that that dynasty wasn't him. Like, it was always Stephen Curry. It was always his team. He was always the best player. He was just willing to sacrifice to KD so that KD could get finals MVPs. KD could score more buckets. KD wasn't willing to give up shots. Clay didn't want to give up shots, right? And so the one who sacrificed, Steph Curry. Now those guys are gone and Steph is still winning. Steph won a title without Kevin Durant. That made him a top 5 point guard of all time. If he's able to win another title without Steph, then like there's no doubt about it that he's the greatest player of all time. And that conversation has to be had by everybody. And when I say greatest, I mean the highest performing, the most skilled, dominant, best player for a long period of time. And championships is going to factor into that. Championships is a huge factor in that, right? And so if you look at that, Steph will have 5 rings if he wins another. It's more than LeBron James. And Jordan has more than LeBron. So it'll be hard to say that LeBron's the GOAT. If you look at changing the game, Steph has changed the game of basketball internationally in the entire world more than anybody. The way that kids come up, the way that kids start training, the way that kids develop throughout high school and college has changed because of Steph. They don't practice post passes anymore. Everything is centered around the three. Everything is centered around creating space. In the game of that's directly Steph Curry. Right? So he's changed the game more than anybody else. He's gonna hopefully get his 5th ring this year. Gotta give that man his flowers. Signing off, please like and subscribe to the podcast. We're going to have a lot more Warriors content for you guys. But for now, we are happy with the dub. Warriors over Minnesota. We get back together next week when the Warriors take on the Houston Rockets. Until then, Dub Nation, please be safe. Don't do anything that I wouldn't do. Love you guys.